Alright. Welcome to Blue Pill Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. Today is August 14th, 2025. This month has flown by. I did not mean to rhyme, but, yeah. So, just got off work. I actually got off work a little bit early today. Work has been... It's been a weird week, so, like, we've been ahead on stuff, but there's always stuff to do. But today, like, my boss came up to me and he's like, do you want to go home early? And I'm like, I'm fine with that, because I didn't get much sleep last night. I didn't go to bed till, like, probably, like, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd say about 2 a.m. I finally fucking crashed, and I got to get back up at 6:40. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like 5.5 hours, you know. And I don't know. I've been coming in on days that I didn't have to work. You know, the option was like, do you want to go home? And I'm like, no, I'll stay. Make some money. So I'm happy. I was okay with going home a little early. I was completely fine with that, because where I was working days and not going home on days that I could have went home, I still made like $445 this week. So almost $500. That's pretty good in my opinion. So yeah, should be a pretty busy weekend. By the way, Sammy's computer's right here. So if you hear a beep every now and then, I apologize. I don't know what to tell you. Let me see if I can fix it. There, I went ahead and just turned the volume down completely, so hopefully that fixes it. So yeah, I'm gonna have a busy weekend this weekend. So here's my plan. I'm gonna rip that insulation out. That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to glove up, maybe some eyeglasses or something, maybe a mask, I don't know. If you've ever fucked around with insulation, it's itchy as fuck. My dad worked for a company called Seneca down in Florida. They have them up here in Kentucky, but there was only like one guy who had a Seneca company. And I remember like going to the meeting with my dad. He got the job, like the job interview, in this big log cabin house. But my dad kind of got discouraged because down in Florida, there was always work. So like my dad would work like 6 days a week. My dad was he's a piece of shit, but he worked his fingers to the bone, and he got discouraged when he moved up here, and kind of stopped work. Well, he didn't get as much work. They would work him like 3 days a week, or like sometimes he'd have like a whole week off, and that's when he got into trucking. And he got discouraged for a long time and just didn't work for like months, you know. I don't know, I think he went kind of through a midlife crisis. But anyways, he would take us to job sites and stuff down in Florida, and we'd work with them. And as a little kid, you're like, ooh, cotton candy. And he's like, and you learn real quick, do not play with that. Yes, it looks like cotton candy, but that shit is itchy as fuck. By the time you go home, dude, after working in it for 8 hours, I mean, you could probably wear gloves. We never did. We just fucking just did it, and it's mixing with your sweat. Like, your entire body is itchy. Like, you have to take a shower. It sucks. And it's on your clothes. Like, you have to wash your clothes every day. Luckily, the type of construction I'm doing is just, like, cabinetry and woodworking and shit. So, like, you know, I can skip a day or two washing my clothes, you know. I mean, I'm sweating a lot, but we're all dudes and it's funky, you know. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna rip out all that stuff up there. I have that planned. I may have to mow and weed eat the lawn. So my buddy Frankie Rose, I keep talking about this dude. He's been having some car issues. He said, he texted me last night and he's like, hey man, I'm putting in this transmission. Hopefully I get it in, and I want to come up there this weekend and we'll do this podcast, because he wants to. He's got a skateboard he's gonna bring me. It's like he draws and paints. So like he decked it out like Misfits. I have a leather jacket that I want him to work on and ink it up, because like he's awesome at drawing and stuff, and I've got patches on it already. I'm not a good artist, so I just have like satanic shit written all over it. But he could actually put like a Danzig skull on one side, because I have a Misfits patch already, but I was like, man, I want a Danzig skull somewhere on it. Maybe a Samhain, something Samhain, because the whole thing is like Danzig Misfits themed, the jacket. That's my favorite artist, singer. So yeah, that's my weekend planned. It probably won't be a Conspiracy Corner episode. He's a ex-pro BMX rider, so we'll probably get into that. He's a punk like me, so we'll probably get into punk rock. But it should be fun. If you're into punk rock and BMX, he's like somewhat of a celebrity, you know. Hell, he might even be more famous than I actually realized. But I just met him at Kroger when I worked there. He was all decked out in his colors, and it was like, dude, I love it. And we ended up talking for like 30 minutes, you know, and we swapped numbers and shit. So yeah, he lives pretty close. He lives out in Harrington, where I used to live, where the pig-faced sea monster is, you know. But yeah, that's it for an update. Let's get on with the show. So I did something brave last episode, and within episodes here lately, I've been talking about just money struggles and the economy and car troubles and house troubles and troubles. When it rains, it pours. And I hope you guys don't think that it's like me bitching and moaning. I just, to me, I like to give updates and talk about my life. If you're watching a podcast and you don't like the person you're watching or listening to, like, what's the point in tuning in, you know? And I think, honestly, I am a relatable podcaster, because I'm not like a Joe Rogan or a Tom Segura, you know? I'm like a normal dude, an average Joe like you. I'm in a trailer. I drive a Nissan. Like, I work construction, you know. So I don't want you thinking that I'm just blowing money. But the brave thing that I did was I went on, it was either AliExpress or Temu, and I bought a box and manual for the Zelda Game & Watch. Just the box and manual for the Game & Watch. It was $3. Go check out the Game & Watch episode I've already done. On YouTube, it'll be under the Zelda playlist. If you're on Spotify, I'll link it down below, because they give you the option to link related episodes down below. So, Abe, why did you buy just the box and manual? To sum it up without rehashing too much of that Game & Watch episode, I've always wanted... I like playing the old school Zeldas. I'm an old school Zelda guy. Once I get through all these old school Zeldas, I will eventually move on to the DS Zeldas. That's me being futuristic. I play pretty much all retro. If you look through my game reviews, everything I play is retro. That's me moving into the future, you know? I'm either gonna get into the Zelda DS stuff, or I'm just gonna keep playing through the Nintendo Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color library. Not gonna lie, because I still have a shit ton of games that I need to play and review. And by the way, if you're a Conspiracy Corner podcast listener, I still got some conspiracy stuff planned. So I've always wanted the Zelda Game & Watch. It's pretty cool. It's like the precursor to the DS. It folds out. It's got double screens. The only problem is it's super fucking expensive. I'm talking like the cheapest I found, I think, was like 150 or like 250. It's like, it's expensive, and I'm not fucking rich. So I was like, well, how the fuck can I play this? Because I like everything physical copies, because they're taking away physical copies of everything. There's a reason why I told people, like, my wife was like, dude, get rid of your DVDs. I'm like, nope. I still have all my fucking DVDs in a storage unit. Got comic books in there. I got physical books in there. I got video games in there. Records. We got all sorts of just like physical media. And I think people are starting to wake up of like, you will own nothing and like it. So I was like, well, I was researching. I'm like, well, has anyone like remade it? Like some Chinese company or something, and like a bootleg, you know, a homebrew cartridge, something. How can I play the fucking Game & Watch Zelda? And apparently it's available on Game & Watch Gallery 4 for Game Boy Advance. So I bought a copy of this, and these are actually super fucking cheap. Thing is, though, you have to beat you have to reach a certain amount of points, and go watch that episode that I said before, the Game & Watch episode, Zelda Game & Watch episode I've already done. It'll explain it better. It's like 20 hours worth of gameplay of playing like monotonous Game & Watch games to unlock the Zelda, because it's the last game you can unlock. Of course they would make it the last. So I'm going to put this in this. I was like, $3, you can't beat that. So originally this thing came out flat. We're going to kind of go through this, and we're going to go through the manual, and there's a reason why. Because it gets into, this thing has a storyline. So this thing came in flat. My wife already folded it. I wanted to do a complete unboxing and fold it up. When she told me, I just was like, ah. People get off on that shit, you know? So this is like it's got a screen image of like what it looks like. There is no description on the back. It just says Zelda Game & Watch, Nintendo pocket-sized Game & Watch. And you can see how this definitely was like an inspiration precursor to the DS, you know. It's got Zelda on this end, Zelda on that end, Zelda on this end with Nintendo. One thing that I do notice, and I'm not bitching, like, the front is crystal clear. There is some blurriness to the sides. The barcode, you can tell, is like a reprint fake barcode. So, like, that doesn't bother me, because it'll look beautiful on a shelf. And these things are super rare in general. So, oops. One thing you'll notice, though, it's just called Zelda. So here's the thing. Zelda 1 was called The Legend of Zelda. Zelda 2 was literally called Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And this one's just called Zelda. Supposedly, from what I've heard, this is like the in-between Zelda of Legend of Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. So Zelda 1 and 2 is technically a trilogy. But there's also, I'm going to get into some woo-woo timeline shit, there's also a theory that whenever you get the raft in Zelda 2, when you pass over the ocean, you're supposed to actually save the game before you do that. Turn it off. Zelda 2, turn Zelda 2 off. You get to play Link's Awakening and beat that completely, because that's where you wreck your ship and that's where Link's Awakening falls in, supposedly. And then you get in, and then once you beat Link's Awakening, you're allowed to go back to Zelda 2 and cross the ocean. I think that's a cool theory, because that would make literally a quadrilogy. You would have to play Zelda 1, then you would have to play and beat the Game & Watch, then you would have to play Zelda 2, half of Zelda 2, stop, play and complete Link's Awakening, and then finish Zelda 2. So I mean, it would be kind of cool, and that would be the original Link's storyline. Now there is like a prelude, which is Zelda Link to the Past, which is before Legend of Zelda 1, but that's like way in Hyrule's past, and that's a totally different Link. So let's continue with the unboxing of a boxing manual. So it does come with, and she put this together, the box and the manual. So if you watch, yeah, so the box is, oh, that's already, it pulled out the manual and already like dented it a little bit. So the box isn't the best, the inside box, but for $3 I'm not bitching. And I'm going to use it to hold the Game Boy cartridge. Here's the thing though, it's going to rattle around, which that's okay. So the manual, if you watch the previous Game & Watch Zelda episode we did, and honestly, I'm going to start a Zelda Game & Watch playlist, because once I do actually unlock it and beat it, I'm going to review it, hopefully, unless there's just not enough substance there. But so that'll be easier to find. I'll make the playlist today. So I wanted to go through this manual because it's kind of important. Oh, what I was saying though, if you watch the previous Game & Watch episode I did, we covered somebody who has, and I'm assuming, making an ass out of you and me, it's the same box and manual that his girlfriend ordered for him for his birthday, because he had just the Game & Watch, and for his birthday or something she ordered the Game & Watch manual and box. So she only spent $3 on it. What a cheap... No, I'm just kidding. But he had a complaint that the manual, he didn't feel like it was good quality. So here's the thing, I think it's decent quality. I mean, I don't know really what he was expecting. You can tell it's definitely probably not the official one. I mean, it still has some of the blurriness, yeah, like the box, you know. But I wanted to get into this. So the Game & Watch Zelda actually has a freaking story, dude. And there's Link fighting moblins and Stalfos and dragons. So after he defeated Ganon, and Ganon turned to ash, if you play Zelda 2, there's like 5 or 6 years of peace, and it says that the lore is basically that Link helped like build towns with people. They helped rebuild Hyrule. If you play Zelda 1, everyone's in caves. It's like post-apocalyptic. It's dystopian. At Zelda 2, there's towns shooting up. Yeah, like townsfolk. You know, you can talk to people. People are coming out. Like there's there's caves, but no one's chilling in caves. No one's terrified, you know, because Ganon's dead. And where he's turned to ashes, they need Link's blood to resurrect Ganon for some spell. But apparently, Link was 10 years old on Zelda 1. 6 years had passed. And on Zelda 2, he's 16. Or he's about to have his 16th birthday, is what they say. And the Triforce appears on his hand. So in between, he had another adventure. The havoc caused by 8 fierce dragons is increasing day by day. These dragons have refused to live in peace with man, and are fighting against him to rule the world. now that your sweetheart Princess Zelda has been kidnapped. So this is Zelda 1. Zelda 2 is actually the original Zelda. Hence, Impa tells Link when they discover Sleeping Beauty. Go check out that Zelda episode I did. Zelda 2 is Sleeping Beauty. It's in the Zelda 2 playlist. Or just in the Zelda playlist. I'll link it below in Spotify. There's 2 Zeldas. The Zelda 2 you're rescuing is not the same Zelda you rescued from Zelda 1. It's the same timeline, same Link, not the same Zelda. So it says that in this that your sweetheart Princess Zelda has been kidnapped by the evil dragons. You have resolved to destroy the dragons. So that means that Link did eventually, he got with the first Zelda from Zelda 1. Here's the thing. After you beat Zelda 2, spoiler for a 1988 game, in case you didn't know, the curtain closed, but their feet are there, and they move together, and the insinuation is that he's making out with her, or kissing her, or hugging her, something. There's romance there. So that means that Link's a fucking cheater. Unless in Hyrule, polygamy is like the main accepted sexuality. It's definitely a philosophical question that either Link is a cheater, because according to this, that's his girlfriend. It's his sweetheart. He hooked up with the first Zelda he saved. I don't know. Is Link a cheater? Is polygamy the main sexuality in Hyrule? I don't know. These are the things that keep me awake at night. So, we're gonna get into one thing that I want to talk about. So this was really weird. With Zelda 1 and 2. Zelda 1, you have like the classic monsters. You have Stalfos. You have Gels, I think. You have Gorayas. You have Darknuts. You have... Anyways, the point I'm making, if you actually look through the manual, they renamed a lot of the monsters. And it's like, this is the same monster from Zelda 1. Why did they rename it? They did it again on this one. So, with Zelda 1 and 2, it kind of makes sense. Because, like, Zelda 1, you got this tiny little map. And a lot of people don't know, but when you look at the map of Zelda 2, it actually has the map of Zelda 1 as this tiny little section at the very bottom, where you finish off the game, essentially. Which means that, because everyone wonders while you're playing Zelda 1, where is Castle Hyrule? You know? It's actually further up the map. You don't see Castle Hyrule until Zelda 2. And all of that first Zelda game was all in this little tiny section of Hyrule. And what they did was they were trying to show you how big Hyrule is. So I got a theory that there's dialects within Hyrule, just like America. Like if you could put a New Yorker in a room and somebody from like the bayous of Louisiana, same country, neither one is gonna know what the fuck the other one's saying. You got one guy here like, hey Tony, how you doing? You know, tell your mother I love her. Hey, you know. And then the other guy's like, hey, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck are you saying? Same country. And you find that a lot in America, where it's so a melting pot. I feel like Hyrule would be the same way. So yes, it's the same monsters, but they just call them different things in different areas. You see what I'm saying? So like here we got, they call them crawdads or crawdaddies. Well, no, they call them crawdaddies in Deep South, but they call them crawdads here in Kentucky. But if you went north, they would call them like crawfish. The term, you know, crawfish, you know, the proper term. Yeah, there's dialects. So that's my 2 cents on that. That's why I think the monsters are called different things. So you got Link. Here's the characters Link and Princess Zelda. Got, instead of a moblin, so that picture we showed at the beginning with Link facing off with the moblin in the middle, that's not a moblin. They call them goblins now. Or are there goblins and then moblins? So that's actually a goblin. The boss who lives in each of the chambers in the labyrinth. You must defeat each of the items to advance to the next chamber. So then you have the dragons. You have to defeat 8 dragons in 8 different dungeons, which I find interesting. You have Stalfos. This is another one that got changed. That would be a guinea. They're not called ghosts. They're called guineas in Zelda. Apparently, no. In this one, they're just called ghosts. They attack Link from behind. You cannot attack them. So I found that very interesting. Let's get into the items. Here's another thing too. Zelda 1 has like the classic items, and they kind of went back to the Zelda 1 formula with Zelda 3, A Link to the Past. When I think of Zelda, I think of like the hook shot, the shield, the sword. Well, 3 different types of swords. You got bombs, you got arrows, boomerang, simple shit. Zelda 2 introduced like some interesting items that you don't really see in the games again until, I don't know, maybe the newer ones. I haven't played any of the newer ones. I only play 2D Zeldas right now, but Zelda 2 introduced like the hammer. They had some weird ones, like weird items. The hammer was one that I was like, a hammer to cut down a tree? Like, that was weird. So the items in this one, you have a tomahawk, which I found was crazy. So Link has a straight up Indian tomahawk. As a Native American, that's cool. Blackfoot and Kiowa, like, hell yeah, dude. Link's going Indian, but this weapon is effective only against the dragons. It is the 3 items as powerful as the usual swords. When Link is fighting against the dragon, the tomahawk appears automatically for him to use. However, the tomahawk breaks when he has destroyed the dragon. You have a map, you have the water of life, and you have the heart. Apparently, the sword beam is in the game. And dude, you gotta admit, this is like complex as hell for like a Game & Watch game. There is a continue mode. So even if Link dies, you can continue playing the game from the place he dies. If you press the continue key, with the key held down, the top score will appear at the bottom. The lower score. When you release the key, you can start the game from the place Link dies. Remember that your score will be cleared and Link will start out again with 3 hearts. Okay. From the second round. The game with a happy ending when Link has rescued the Princess Zelda. To play the second round, which would be the second quest. So that's how insane this Game & Watch was like, it literally, if you know anything about Zelda 1, is like, because I'm currently going through Zelda 1, the second quest. I beat Zelda 1 and I reviewed it. And then finally I was like, I wanted to play fucking Zelda. And I'm like, I'm just gonna play the second quest, dude. So I'm currently playing the second quest. I'm playing like 4 games right now. What I do is I take turns on each one. It's like a whole nother game. And this one is the same way. And apparently, from what I've heard and what I've seen, is once you rescue Princess Zelda after defeating the 8 dragons, you can play the second quest. And I think at a certain point of scores, what it does is it keeps your score from the first quest. And if you keep playing, you unlock the Master Sword. And what it is a literal Master Sword, the one that you see on the title screen of Zelda 1, Well, I guess on Zelda 1 it was the magical sword. The one that looks like a rapier, you know, with the hand guard, and it's one edged, and so that's like you can basically obtain the master sword or magical sword on this LCD Zelda 1.5 Game and Watch. I don't know. I just wanted to geek out a little bit, Zelda nerd out for a little bit. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, have a Buy Me a Coffee account set up in the link below. And have you ever played this Game & Watch? It's super fucking rare. Have you ever played it? Have you ever beaten it? Let me know what you think about it. I can't wait till I unlock it and get to play it. Yeah. Y'all have a good day.